happening everywhere. And now it'll be about if Zenith can make it happen for their side.
Well, OG Esports may be kind of a tier above because my 6-stack plays against Zenith sometimes.
You do well?
No. Zenith is definitely a tier above us, and then OG might be a tier above that.
All right, so what we're learning here today is leg day, only 2 tiers away from reaching OG.
Hard tier 3 performances on the Doctor Strange. Hit the dizzying heights of top 128. You know, that's the dream for me.
Yeah. Hey, you could have been in this round, buddy. You could have been in this round.
It could have been me, Rick. It should have been me.
But today, it is going to be the boys, Tanuki, Etsu, Enzo, Alex, Ken, and Snaze up against Zenith. Hashtag jobless, you know. We're hoping it works out, buddy. Looks like the Magneto is going to be something that goes through, so hopefully he can show a big performance, assuming they want to take that one. Shin Shibuya, a convergence map coming through. And both Namor and Wolverine protected so far, so a lot of different options for the kinds of comps they want to go for, whether dive, whether brawl. Hella, though, is going to be taken off the board. And, ooh, we see why, leg day. We got some flyers on the board for Zenith.
I see. Oh, well, I mean, if you're going to go up against a team like OG, then why not play a strat they probably haven't scrimmed against? Makes sense to me. I mean, Tanuki having access to the Wolverine here. Tanuki's best hero is probably Wolverine. Tanuki's kind of a crazy player. Just excellent melee characters, but also a very good Star-Lord. Unfortunately, this Hela ban may have actually been a little bit of a reveal here from Zenith. When you ban Hela, instead of something like, say, Loki, which is a huge target ban onto Ken, who's probably one of the best individual Lokis we've got in EMEA, then it kind of says, oh, we're gonna cook potentially with a Storm here. I don't know if they're gonna expect double flyer. I think that Storm would be a very reasonable expectation for OG to go up against, so maybe preempting that for set like a Star-Lord.
Yeah, we'll see what they're able to do. Again, OG have been so great at finding picks. Have also been really good at leaning into sillier, more chaotic play styles. So we'll see if for Zenith this will work out. You know, like when your 6-stack played against them, you guys see any Storm, Human Torch? You got the secrets?
No, we mostly saw 33 Heavens playing a lot of Star-Lord. Very good on the tracking game. Big aimer. Also worth noting, if you're a console player or a controller player, OG Esports actually has controller player in Enzo. Keeping it, wrapping it on the sticks. Very strong on that. Already going to be the Thing. Really laying down some good frontline damage. Of course, Thing is going to have limited utility versus both of these flyers. Not so much of a problem for the Magneto. Snake's going to be pushing out a bunch of damage. Tanuki looking for a grab. Manages to get the Doctor Strange. And that's the ideal pickup for Tanuki. They decided to try and play this front to back for OG Esports. And those Vanguards have been decimated as Ken does fall low. Just changes positions into a fire.
Yeah, it does go down, but still, at the end of the day, OG got the point. They were able to just kind of be cheeky, use terrain to get close. Portal is going to come through for Zenith.
Yeah, they're a little bit late, though. Point just got captured at the wrong time. Maybe the portal was a touch too high in the air, or hashtag Jobless didn't have the ideal pathing, or maybe it's just unlucky timing that happens, and hashtag Jobless and Saidamondo are going to be taken out.
Now, locking me up to what 33 Heavens can do. I mean, we saw the Pyro Prison early on in that show trying to enter the point, not really find too much value. Is going to put in these long roads and at least funnel OG into certain spots, but OG have just been so good at finding these wraparounds. Ooh, that was looking dicey for a second.
Could have been nasty. You can do a lot of damage to his Vanguards as the Human Torch. Like a pseudo shotgun from those fire blasts. Tinky's wall amps up the damage. Clobbering time here, trying to shut down Etsu, and indeed, Tinky Dwarf manages to get it on the other side. And now the Thing in the midst of all of them, surely they can all turn and focus their damage in. Actually going to be a disengagement off the back of that embattled lead into the invisible boundary. And it's a good amount of healing for the Thing to try and play with. 33 Heavens now going through with the Supernova. Are we going to see the composition with the Firestorm? The extra danger through. Alex finds it out the hard. It lasts for 12 seconds, so survivability was not on the cards.
No, this is exactly what Zenith were playing this comp for, right? It's all about the Omega Fire team up between Storm and Human Torch, finding value. They did do so, were able to push OG off the cart. But OG, they have some big ults to work with. Meteor M online, feels the God of Mischief. Zenith has some of their own. Still having that clobbering time. God of Mischief does come through.
Copying over, of course. Oh my goodness, Alex! They're already down.
Oh, both.
Oh, it's like maybe I lost him for a reason, you know. Bro is kind of crazy on the Human Torch, getting both of the backliners and actually wasting that God of Mischief as well. They never got the invisible boundary up.
No, right, taking out both in one fell swoop. We do see the Mantis as well, just able to put out more damage with those left clicks. Gonna be able to get her ult online now. And Zenith, I mean, they didn't really have to use much there.
Everyone coming in to try and share up the damage from that Dance of the Butterflies. Not too much gained off the back of it. It's Tanuki who's a victim. 33 Heavens and Tinky Dwarf both grab one each. And hashtag jobless. Unfortunately for Sue, not faster than the Yancey Street Charge. Roadkill
Is going to go down, and we are seeing so much value come out from 33 Heavens. Now being locked in base, Tanuki. Starlord going to start going forward. Isn't on the Wolverine anymore. We know he's a very proficient Starlord player. Going to have to try and find some value specifically against Tinky Dwarf and 33 Heavens.
Winter's taking so much damage here. Needs to be healed up by Ken. Snake. Just a little bit of teasing, poking around the back. Clobbering time comes on in. So I think it's mostly being avoided. Meteor M going to be up towards the top. I don't think anyone's going to be grabbed by a final here. Etsu in mid-air. Oh, the right click is too much for 33 Heavens to deal with. And that means no combination of ultimates either. It's going to be an absolutely raw Omega Hurricane coming through from Tinky Dwarf, who does not have the survivability. Oh, they flopped the main combo. The real power spike of Zenith's composition was shut down.
Yeah, huge. I love the adaptation. Starlord and Storm try and match those flyers, be able to burst them out fast before healers can react. And now it's going to be about if Zenith can bring anything else online, because hell, we saw their big combo used in the last fight kind of haphazardly, and it wasn't able to get anything for them. 33 Heavens.
that was a bit of a strange portal, I'm not going to lie. I think it may have actually been a help. All the Eye of Agamotto basically solo onto 33 Heavens. Very good follow-up there in the form of the Metallic Core. A good peel that came on through. Ken's actually getting a bit aggressive here. Off the back of this, Etsu has invested the Omega Hurricane. Touching might be a little bit difficult to try and happen, but 33 Heavens can actually put some real burst into a backline here if they go for one of those dive bombs onto a couple of setup flame pads. Oh, Pooey, hello! That's absolutely pooing on Etsu in this case. A well-placed shot onto one of the rising stars of EMEA brings the storm out of the sky.
Yeah, I love it. I love how much damage they're leaning into with these heroes. Again, making it loose, making it reckless when there is so much footage out there on OG. You need to try and catch them off guard and make it a bit brawlier. Tanuki does have the Galactic Legend.
Really wants to try and find that storm. Would be ideal. Grabs 33 Heavens. Instead, invisible boundaries are risen for a moment. The Eye of Agamotto is going to stun quite a few. Question is, can they concentrate the damage? It seems like multiple people going for several targets. Hyper Orange Venom, making sure that everyone tastes the rainbow by hook or by crook. Enzo has arrived, and OG Esports finally gained mastery over this point.
Yeah, really finally finding on the heroes they wanted to settle on. Love the Venom switch up to put pressure on things like the Immobile Mantis in the back line, or even just really help with those flyers. Getting some nice ship damage down, so both Etsu and Tanuki can finish them off, and they're playing really far forward, really aggressive to not let Zenith stop their push.
You have a Star-Lord and Storm as well. So difficult to get some value out of the sedation from the Mantis onto them, as they're so difficult to like bounce it off. Oh, was that? That might have been an interrupt onto an Enzo ultimate right there. Not quite sure if that was an animation cancel. Onto the Feast of the Abyss. Tinky Dwarf ready to move on forward. Question is, are they going to try and combine their ultimates? Indeed, it's going to be the Omega Firestorm. Once again, difficult to try and survive it. Etsu going to try and turn it around with their own Omega Hurricane, but you got to believe they're going to be trying to avoid Tinky, who's trying to turn up the heat. The oven continues to try and cook OG Esports up close and personal with Etsu. The healing's there to help out Etsu as well as the teammates that were needed. Hashtag jobless surrounded. He's going to have to disengage.
It was a really nice try from them, but still the counter Storm ult really cut the fight in too, able to find the 1v1 afterward. And now we see Zenith in a place where they only have that Meteor M online, close to the Eye of Agamotto. But OG are working with both the God of Mischief and Galactic Legend.
It's a lot of fragging power. Ken has access if it's needed, tries to get the one tap. Nice combo on Tapui right there. Coming through from Enzo, who's already grabbed themselves two. Snooki doesn't even need to use their ultimate at the moment. The Galactic Legend may well go unwritten until this ultimate is done. Up at the top, comes on down with the Galactic Legend. Eyes on today, and well, the daybreak has been found, and the pressure's too much to try and sustain. Pui comes back just in time, but was unable to do too much in the way of surviving up against the storm. Tinky Dwarf is just going to feel the tink, tink, tink of funeral bells. And that's going to be OG capping out.
It was a nice try by Zenith. You saw, well-prepared strategy coming in with the Storm and Human Torch, playing off that Omega Fire combo, utilizing the skies, and really just, I guess, trying to catch OG a bit off guard. But the adaptations were able to come through. And like you said, OG did push VP quite the distance in the finals of the MRI. So this is exactly what you'd expect from them.
I mean, this is also potentially a great sign for the closing gap in EMEA. We're all excited to see Virtus Pro actually get pushed, drop a map here and there in the MRI, and not have a foregone conclusion of who is going to be winning out in that matchup. And OG Esports, while they're far from having lost this map, it's a full completion on Shin Shibuya, which is an enviable position to be in. They have been pushed to the ends of their time bank here by Zenith, so maybe there's some value to this composition with both the Storm and the Human Tool.
Especially when it feels like if Zenith are able to take it a little bit slower, if they aren't able to find the picks they're looking for, you do have that strong ultimate team up to rely on in the Omega Fire to try to just brute force the point for yourself. I don't know if it'll exactly go that way when, again, there are so many flyers. I think it's going to be really telling if the healers can keep up, if picks are going to be coming through, especially when you have things like Venom on the map. But I think for Zenith, they definitely want to take this one a little bit more calmly.
Yeah, trying to make this work offensively as well could be a little bit more difficult, of course, as will be a lot more easy to note the approach of these flyers as they have to go through the hostile architecture. Tinky Dwarf amps up the weather and tries to add some amps into the veins of the Venom for now. Tanuki forced to disengage as Tinky Dwarf is slowly going to start eroding this space away and start getting some real progress towards point.
Yeah, going to be using that aura to also buff up his teammates, try and make sure they can all get it. Is hashtag Jobless finds a nice cheeky little pick on Exu. Tanuki trying to set up a bit of a trap play, does get spotted out. And so far, very contested on this point.
Not sure what purpose for Captain America serves. Dayquaza, question is, are you going to use your disappear here? Indeed, yeah, the invisible boundary is dragged up. Enzo swings into it for now, as Snaze does their best to just hide away. Out comes the God of Mischief, and Saintamoto is found in the worst place. Like, when you're inside that arcade, it's so difficult to get healing onto you. And you better believe that none was delivered. Zenith, they're held for now.
Yeah, I mean, huge. Just able to walk them down with the Magneto and the Venom. Pushed all the way back to their base. They are getting close to the Omega Fire combo that we talked about, but still, invisible boundary up. Hashtag Jobless, you gotta be careful, buddy. Is going to be able to find a bit of hiding to wait in the wings. But like you said, even the Flyers having such a difficult time approaching when it's so telegraphed.
All right, Saint for now scouts out the positions, especially of Enzo there. He's ready to dive on in, trying to move in towards Alex. Force them off high ground. Here comes the combination of ultimates that we're expecting, of course. Inside of that invisible boundary, things are going to get very hot and very dirty as Tinky Dwarf finds even more than this. Might be stuck on the point for now. You could try and beat Exu out of their own tornado using your Omega Hurricane. The Alpha Strike has come on through, and this was the power spike that we were going to expect from Zenith.
Yeah, now nice finish off from play coming through. So they know they can rely on those ults to be able to get the point when needed. Now, for OG, again, held on to some of the ults from that previous fight. Still got a lot to work with. Tinky Dwarf has been doing a nice job of being a nuisance, even to threats like the Vanguards. People like Snaze or Enzo going a little bit too far forward, having to deal with all the damage. Intergalactic Legend, though.
Back to Legend. Drawn on out here by Tanuki. Gets given a metallic bulwark as well for additional survivability. Etsu dragged in by a well-timed force physics from Dayquaza. Great play from the Invisible Woman. Tinky Dwarf, though, has to be careful. Doesn't want to become the front line as that Storm. You're a little bit too vulnerable. And it seems like right now, Saint's job is actually just to make Tanuki feel very uncomfortable the second they come in on any angle. Just sprinting after a Star-Lord and giving them a taste of America.
Yeah, I mean, you can see him doing it. Still continuing to run on forward, putting that shield up to block the damage. And it felt like when they were just really struggling to get on point, having something as fast and as mobile as Captain America to be that nuisance was a nice call. Saint Demoto has played the Captain America quite a bit, known as one of their picks so far in this tournament.
Enzo held in place, 33 Heavens towards the back. Nice frag, an assassination onto Tanuki, who never saw it coming. The Sea has been popped as well from 33 Heavens. Some additional survivability. Has the ability to dive on in. The damage here is actually a little bit overwhelming. Exu swapped over onto that Winter Soldier to have additional anti-air proclamations, and Alex has simply done too much here when it comes to the healing and the damage. The strategist take out 33 Heavens. Moving forward with a Soul Resurgence. They desperately want Alex, trying to mug him elsewhere. It's an ambitious play from Snaze, yeah, to try and grab Tinky Dwarf in the midst of all of this. But what the Meteor M can't do, the regular metallic projectiles can. That's going to be overwhelming force put onto Saint to get him off there.
Like you said, I feel like Zenith really putting all in to try to take down Alex. We're never able to find him. And OG utilizing that chaos to turn around the fight. I do got to say, though, it has been a bit harder for OG than I've expected. I feel like especially Tanuki, there's been a few times where he's looking for the cheeky off angle or for the pick, and he ends up being the one that's surprised or caught off guard. 33 Heavens doing a nice job showing what this Human Torch can do.
Just the power spike we've been expecting. Once again, the Omega Fire, ready to go, knocked out of the air. It's going to be 33 Heavens, setting up a couple of those fire tornadoes here. Oh, the burst from Tanuki. They desperately want to try and get rid of Tinky Dwarf in the midst of all of this. DPS answering DPS, as that's going to be Tanuki finding Tinky Dwarf. Most of the danger has passed here for the side of OG Esports. Now they can just slowly re-engage, having not given up too much space on that mission vehicle, and they've survived the storm.
Really great from them, using the invisible boundary of their own to match, and then just really waiting out the other one to put pressure on Tinky Dwarf. Still, though, it's going to be about if OG can get this one going. Zenith, though, the ones who have to push the convoy, having to deal with Enzo in the back. Ooh. Manages to get away.
Gets out. A symbiotic swing, giving him a little bit of good distance here to try and play with the 33 Heavens. Sets up a new flame cage to try and keep a couple of people within. Good damage levied out here. However, Tanuki could be isolated. A mid-air strike with one of those flame balls is perfect. Enzo has gone deep. It's a desperate gambit, yes, but here comes even better. Soul Resurgence answers the incoming Kraken impact. Etsu overwhelmed by the damage of the Mantis. Power stolen by the God of Mischief. Invisible boundary drawn up here to give OG Esports a little bit more staying power as they wait for their respawns. Tanuki and Etsu will be coming back in no time, slamming down with the driving strike into the back line. Enzo simply waits for the metallic bulwark to go away before taking 33 Heavens with a cellular corrosion. Flying seems to be no real match for Enzo, who simply keeps down on the ground and keeps it real. 2 seconds remain. Zenith unlikely to get too much of a touch apart from Saint here with their assemble. It's a lot of additional HP, and it gives time actually for the recontest of the portal. This could be a huge recontest here, as Tinky Dwarf has already got themselves a Omega Hurricane to try and play with. It's not going to be reinforced by the fire, but it is going to keep Snaze holding his shield up for a little while longer.
Yeah, we're going to see them try to go with the Meteor M. Enzo, though, finds Tinky Dwarf, and Ken somehow finds Dayquaza in the back line. Really just cleaning house for OG here. I don't think they could make it work this time, Leg Day. Captain America down, Strange down. OG do pull it over the line.
2, 3.
It was a desperate last attempt, hoping against hope that there wasn't an invisible boundary available for the side of OG, but unfortunately, it was drawn on up, and I love the response they made to the initial combo, which is that Tanuki would hold on to that Galactic Legend and not play it as an offensive duelist ultimate that really had fragging power. Instead was going to use it to stay up in the air, but they couldn't be afflicted by that fire tornado, and just quickly burst down the storm.
Yeah, it was always a nice answer. It was always invisible boundary, followed by waiting it out, throwing out the Galactic Legend. I do like what we saw come out from people like Sainamoto going on Captain America, the Storm, the Human Torch. Again, when OG are kind of viewed as that second best team in EMEA, like try to throw the whole kitchen sink at them, right? Try to catch them off guard, but still it shows. OG, very adaptable. They were able to match. Tanuki had a great showing. I really like seeing Enzo get back on the Venom too. And then we saw for Zenith, it was really just about the Omega Fire power up, right? They could just constantly wait for that spike, hope it did enough work to pull them over the line. But sadly, like you said, OG did find those answers.
Yeah, I definitely agree that if you're going up against a team like OG and you're a bit of an unknown factor, trying to like meta match them could be a bit of a fool's errand. Zenith's certainly getting on my radar here for having a little bit more innovation when it comes to trying to find these surprising compositions, and maybe this actually forces OG to do a little bit less of a kind of standard pick ban array, where you have to instead, like, maybe we're going to ban the Storm, maybe we're going to ban the Human Torch, and when these things go awry, sometimes less orthodox composition you didn't think. It's ideal for you.
And I think that's something I'm going to stay interested in as time goes on, is the adaptations we see. But we'll take a look at the adaptations we saw in that match as we got the highlights coming up.
It got hot in here at Marvel Rivals Championship EMEA. Some wild things coming out with a Fire Hurricane duo that's proffered by Zenith to try and get something a little bit weird going up against the number 2 seed in EMEA that OG Esports are.
Yeah, you saw, Storm, Human Torch. We saw eventually Captain America end up coming through from Sainamoto, throwing a lot of things at the wall, trying to see what sticks. It, put some pressure on OG, but like we saw, OG, very adaptable team, very good at just sticking to the basics, making up in-game strategies on the fly, again, changing how they were using that Star-Lord ultimate in that game. And now it's going to be, again, I'd expect a lot of stock and standard stuff from OG. And as we move to the second map, which will be Barin T'Challa, I'm curious to see if Zenith are going to be able to bring anything else out.
Yeah, I'd say that this might be a little bit tougher for Zenith. I think if OG Esports had any particular speciality, it is domination maps. I think both the maps they took against Virtus Pro were domination maps, including potentially this one. And we also know that they have a pocket strat on Asgard's domination map with the Tanuki Jeff Landshark. Already OG Sports are picking out the Adam Warlock, though. So what are they going to protect? Likely the Wolverine? No, they're going to protect the Hela and just try and make sure that Zenith are potentially frozen out of that flyer comp.
Yeah, good. Another adaptation to the first game. Even though they won, they said, hey, if you're strong in this, it is a bit annoying. Let's take it out of the waters. But still, we're going to have a lot of dive that they're going to have to deal with. I feel like OG are so comfortable with everything that's left on the board. So Namor now going to be saved by Zenith. We'll see if a Luna ban is answered in response or if OG just don't care.
Okay, banning out Tanuki's Wolverine here, but I think Tanuki's more than happy to just continue playing Star-Lord, or even the Black Panther that's being hovered now. It is part of Tanuki's grind set here. And maybe the Namor Protect does actually just force out the Luna ban, and the Luna ban is actually could actually be a little bit of a bait here from Zenith. If you can bait the Luna ban, then there's not a great way to answer that Fire Hurricane again. Though OG Sports are likely to win in the neutral with a double hit scan that they could proffer from both the Hela and, of course, the Star-Lord as well. Tinky Dwarf for now is going to be trying to match that Hela. I don't know if 33 Heavens is going to match on the Star-Lord, or if somehow they've like got that Kaiser style going on and they just enjoy playing Human Torch, you know, for the love of the game.
Yeah, and that's what it seems like. They're gonna have at least the three-way team up now. The Thing, Invisible Woman, and Human Torch, so are gonna get that HP and the max HP that comes from the team up. Enzo seemed a little bit curious about whether he should stick to the Venom. Is gonna decide to do so. Still, though, now with the Thing coming out for Zenith, it feels like they do have a lot more crowd control, a lot more ability to funnel OG into certain areas.
Yeah, once again, I'm going to be looking at Tanuki primarily here to really be the difference maker. Star-Lord has such great ability to move between several different skirmish points, especially on this spaceport map. Using that quick mobility, can quickly create 2v1s if Tinky Dwarf finds herself out of position.
Yeah, it's going to be... It's like you said, especially this map, there's a lot of vertical open space, some things to play around. That's exactly where Star-Lord thrives. You can see OG Esports already wanting to make so Zenith can't walk forward. Play, though, on the Thing, trying to get up there.
All right, 33 Heavens trying their best to make something happen. Eyes onto Etsu. Oh, what an alpha strike. Etsu never saw it coming. Snaze might be overextended here as well. A Soul Drain is too much damage to try and bear. Tinky Dwarf also going to be victimizing Snaze, who's gone a little bit too far. Etsu got the first cap, yes, alongside the rest of OG, but they might not have a huge advantage here when it comes to the overall fight. Ken's got their clones up, and that's going to mean those doppelgangers going to have some significant output. 33 Heavens trying their best to escape, utilizing the short dashes that are accessed by that Human Torch. Etsu's finally found the off angle. Saintomoto was just slowly floating over, but then Heavens overextends himself. That's an easy catch.
Yeah, really nice pick onto the Human Torch. You can see Zenith trying their best to take control of the point, but so many different angles to wonder about. Tanuki somehow staying alive with the support of Alex, really just making it so hard for Magneto to find the kills.
Tiny Dwarf dives into the invisible boundary here, catches Etsu as we try to disengage. There's going to be a big slam here from 33 Heavens, and Alex is just stunned in place by the clobbering time after being knocked shy of the invisible boundary, and that means that the healing couldn't be delivered from their own supportive ultimate. The strategist is slain, and this should finally be a flip over in favor of Zenith. Rolling through now. Etsu going to do their best to poke around here. Almost has access to that Goddess of Death. Interestingly, Tinky Dwarf is ahead on that. Has been putting a lot of damage into Snaze. Should be noted. And Ken, one of the things we've got to worry about here is that potentially Ken could be rezzed by Etsu on like a second phase of a fight in the midst of all of this as well. 33 Heavens ready to go with the Firestorm. The Supernova, if they'd like to use it, could actually fill up something like an invisible boundary, make it very hostile to life within there. Snaze lays down the Meteor M, naturally just going to be dragging it up to try and deal with it. In comes the Supernova. There's going to be a lot of damage as well coming through. Built on up on top of 33 Heaven's head. Quite the dunk of superheated metal on top of the Human Torch. Invisible boundary brought on up. That gives a lot of safety over to Saintomoto as Alex just has to play around the periphery. Feeling nervous over here. The Yankee Street charge is going to certainly complicate matters. Alex has to dive into regeneration. The Baines was brought up by the Loki of Ken. Enzo doing their best to just play around on the point here. And Zenith are going to overtake on percentage of control rather soon. Saint doing their best to just disengage. Long range poke from Etsu, exactly where it needs to go, into the skull of a Human Torch. Your attacks are futile.
Yeah, is able to find it on that fight. Very contested point this time around. Enzo gonna keep looking, does end up finding Kazawa on Snaze, running down the Loki as well with no healers. I don't know how Zenith can try to hold this point.
Looks like it's not going to be the case. 33 Heavens just going to exchange their well-being for a couple of percentage. Are they coming back with a portal? No, I think I was just pranked in my own head by the sound of a portal. I had some kind of trauma response to too many recontests.
Anyone willing to help?
Thinking more. Yeah, having fun, just poking away, doing some homework, you know, some administrative assistant stuff, dealing with those Loki doppelgangers. It's going to be a big slam here. from Enzo there. That's going to be a lot of damage into the back, and Saint's going to be in a great position to try and follow up upon it with that Meteor Ram, but I imagine it's going to be leveraged defensively. That must have been a massive force physics to get Saint Amoto over there. Does not have the necessary latitude in the ability to get onto that. It's going to be a last-second touch coming through from the side of 33 Heavens. It should buy the overtime, and indeed it will, as the invisible boundary is brought up by Dayquaza. Unable to get into it for about a second, as Pui is going to roll on back with the embattled lead. Clobbering time onto Alex, going to be the primary target, but the nice copy coming through from Ken, God of Mischief, defends their fellow strategist when it's needed the most. Tanuki takes to the sky, coming down with the Galactic Legend, dodges aside of Saint's shield, and the Seraphim can't defend you from all of this damage, as it is going to be the strategist to actually keep Zenith surviving. Cinemoto coming in. Big Dark Maelstrom has to get rid of that anti-heal. Needs to be healed on up here. Not on the point. Unfortunately, Zenith are a little bit shy. I think I may have lost Lyric temporarily, but that's okay. You and I back again. Romantic. Yeah. Warrior Falls, quite a date location. Hello, Lyric. I hear you again.
Yep, back again. I don't know what the tech issues are going on, today with me specifically. I'm sorry that I keep cutting out your dates with the chat, but
so greedy. Always the third wheel.
Always, yeah, buddy. Not I want to consider 5 wheels today, as we also got 2 teams on the table. I guess that's the setting of your date, though. I mean, are you counting them more as scenery, or
ambiance, Hot Wheels, some might say, with a Human Torch on the field, but he has gone away now. 33 Heavens are swapped over instead onto the Star-Lord.
Yeah, so is going to give up on that one. Right now, having the rocket just to be able to get that armor onto the rest of OG's side. And now moving on to the second map. Again, a lot of cheeky little angles you can play here if you are a Star-Lord. Both 33 Heavens and Tanuki. Tanuki having a great showing on that first map, and now we get the duel.
Tanuki doing their best to prove themselves the Alpha Star-Lord, of course. It's a lot of danger onto these things as well. With the Star-Lord, big metallic bulwark coming on through. 33 Heavens getting a little bit spicy here. Ooh. Following it after Tanuki. Stellar shifts used at an automatic reload. And 33 Heavens wins the duel with the help of that metallic bulwark. Beautiful play from Zenith. They're going to have to shift it onto a point, however, to stop this one from getting capped out early from the side of OG. Saint Amoto absolutely focused down. And Etsu now is just dismantling this Vanguard line.
Yeah, Etsu showing why he's such a threat on the Hell. It does get taken down by Tinky Dwarf, who was having a tough time finding anything, but it just leaves him open to the Tanuki flank. Gets a huge double kill. Alex able to find one of his own. And once again, it's just OG starting off to a great showing. Now we'll see if they can try and deny them any entry towards the point.
It's so demoralizing when you win out of that Star-Lord duel and your team still lose the point. Just a lot of damage coming through from Etsu. It was reflected in the ult charge for a while. Tinky Dwarf's been able to hold over a little bit from the previous fight as well. Etsu could look for a very early clobbering time here. The big stack up coming through from Zenith could leave him incredibly vulnerable to a big stun here from Enzo, but has to be cautious of the remainder of their team not being in a position to really follow up on it. That's why Etsu trying to leverage this angle now. Oh no, the Nestrond Crow that was left remaining in the aftermath of a frag was more than enough to try and make this one happen. Knockout delivered by the Stone Haymaker at OG Esports. They just leverage every angle.
Yeah, OG, they knew what Zenith were trying to do, taking that route up top. Enzo buying so much time. Etsu plays the off angle, and Etsu finding those first 2 picks really made it so Zenith had nothing to stand on. Clobbering time is up, though, so is Goddess of Death, God of Mischief. Hell, everything except the invisible boundary.
An absolute treasury. The Zenith are ready to start seeing the dividends of. Tanuki falling a little bit low, but there's more than enough support in the form of both the Guardian Shield and the embattled lead. Wrapping around the back, sees 33 Heavens already. Stellar shifts invested. Oh, that's some nasty tracking coming through from Tanuki, taking out their counterpart. Now Zenith are going to be down on overall pressure as that Galactic Legend can't come out. Look at how low hashtag jobless is. Hashtag lifeless right now as Tanuki leaves naught but a charred corpse in their place. Up towards the sky. A little bit of an awkward touching of the tips there between the Hellas, as they will just nuzzle each other up in the sky for a moment. A pair of legendary tales woven thus far as OG Esports overwhelm overwhelming force is given over, and where they may well have had some struggles on Shin Shibuya, they are equally dominant on domination. One of their signature maps, and you can see exactly why, rarely even dropping a fight.
And this is what you'd expect, right? A lot of people might be like, yo, how are OG even down here in the lower bracket? Did have to face VP up in the upper bracket. Was a close 3-game series. You were saying earlier people should go back to round 4, check it out in the client. But that's how OG ended up in the lower bracket. They are heavy favorites, I think, against a lot of these teams, and they showed exactly why here.
Gonna have a quick dash into our stats and have a look at how it all panned out as well. Enzo walking away with the MVP, the aura farming off that MVP animation, not to be underestimated. And Tanuki once again just walking away with a huge amount of damage on the Star-Lord, just farming up those Galactic Legends so fast.
Yeah, and I love it. I love the way he plays these off angles. He puts himself in a lot of risk, which we see pretty consistently. But again, when you have Ken and Alex standing behind you, they're always able to keep him going. And look at that. Speaking of Ken, not even dying a single time on that map.
Oh, I mean, Ken's wild. Ken is one of the best players on Veloki. I was truly surprised to not see Ken target banned on Veloki. Often that's the choice of Virtus Pro going up against Ken. You try and get rid of the Wolverine from Tanuki, and you try and get rid of the Loki from Ken, because he's super good at it. And you can see that there was a little bit of role swapping that was happening as well on the side of on the side of our other team to like try and get that Loki out. I think #Jobless was playing it, who was previously playing the Magneto. So maybe they weren't the most comfortable taking that mirror.
No, but still tried to adapt. We will see that in the highlights we got of OG taking down Zenith in our last match.